I just recently did this story where this woman was talking about a sandwich made her realize that she wanted a divorce. She posted this in the marriage subreddit. I'll go over it quickly. She says, I was completely exhausted the other day. I've been going through a difficult time with a personal matter. Also, deep in the throes of perimenopause. I didn't cook dinner, so when my husband came home from work, he made himself a sandwich. He made one for me too. He made a sandwich he knows very well I wouldn't eat. The bread was hard and it was dry as F. It was in that moment I saw the big picture. I realized that should I ever not be able to care for myself, the level of care I would receive from him would be based solely on his willingness or unwillingness to make an effort and not on my actual needs. I asked him, why would you make me a sandwich that you know I won't eat and act like you did something kind? I asked him if he would think it was kind of me to make him a pot of beans. He gags at the thought of them and serve it to him. The worst part is he could have literally just added mayo to the sandwich and it would have been edible. Instances like this have plagued our whole marriage. He doesn't do things out of the kindness of his heart or with genuine care or just because. He does things so haphazardly with the least amount of effort put in and just because he feels some weird obligation. I'm terrified to grow old with him and I don't think I want to. So we did that post. We talked about this post and she basically, now she's thinking about things because people have been all in and through her comment section. The post was pulled from the divorce subreddit. I don't know if she deleted it or if the subreddit took it down. So affectionate ad, she says, oh my God, I just fell out of my seat when I saw this on Bourbon Bougie's channel. I broke up with my fiance for the same reason. Everyone thought I was crazy. He's a very nice guy, but he refuses to try anything. The sandwich, 3 strips of turkey bacon burnt to the point of charcoal crumbles, a ton of mayo slathered all over 2 slices of bread, served on a paper towel. I was laid up in bed suffering from terrible back pain, in need of food so I could take my very strong narcotic pain pills. I was like, what the F is this? He did less than the absolute least when all I needed was a little. He couldn't cook, he couldn't clean, he couldn't fix anything around the house. He had no motivation to thrive. Meanwhile, I had taken care of him when he was sick, had helped him get his apartment cleaned up when we first started dating. It was a wreck. And I helped him find a job when he had been out of work for over a year due to COVID. If we were married and something happened to him, I would care for him and he would be just fine. If the roles were reversed, I would have 2 choices, suffer or call on my girlfriends or family for basic care. I didn't want that for myself. If I have to do that, I'll do it as a single person. The thought of growing old with him terrified me, so I ended it. It's been 3 years, I'm still single, and I never regretted my decision for a second. So she posted that right under that woman's post. And then here's the OP swooping back in saying, my husband is a great guy too. And the truth is, he wasn't like this when we were dating. If he was, I wouldn't have married him. He basically stopped trying after we got married. And I feel that it's likely because he felt I was locked in and not going anywhere. Actually, it's that exactly. I asked him to separate months ago. I asked him why he felt it was okay to treat me with such disregard. And he said, I didn't think you would ever leave me. But the fact that she says he is a great guy too, like she's still saying that in the present tense as she's coming to the realization that she has been conned by him. So like literally, I don't know why she says he is a great guy instead of putting that in the past tense. Affectionate ad responds to her saying, years ago, my ex-husband did the same thing. 3 weeks after our honeymoon, I asked him why he stopped washing my car, doing the laundry, and helping me keep the house. All the things he did without me having to ask for the 3 years we lived together before marriage. His response, we're married now. His response, we're married now. I don't have to do that anymore. We're married now. I don't have to do that anymore. People act like women are just choosing bad men. People act like women are getting all of this information beforehand and they're still choosing poopy partners. They really think that women would go into things eyes wide open to being neglected or having to do everything. And they will scan over, they will skip over the parts where she would say he used to do and now he doesn't do anymore. But anyways, let me just finish this last sentence. The thing is, if I had known that, I wouldn't have married him. I knew in that instant we weren't going to be together forever. She knew after the honeymoon, right after the honeymoon, they weren't going to be together forever. Like, some men come into these posts and social media saying, I would do anything for my family. I would do anything. I would build a house. I would climb an oil rig. I will cut down a tree, but I'm not going to wash any dishes. I'm not going to do all of that. I will go to war, but I am not going to wash laundry. It's like, come on now. This is the reason why women, like this person, New Shoes for the Win, is going through like how to process this divorce in her brain. You can see the wheels turning. So she made that post. She made that comment. And then she came over to the marriage subreddit to make this post. That first post was in the divorce subreddit. This part is in the marriage subreddit. Now she's saying, trying to save my marriage. Let's look at this post. She says, I posted here about a situation with my marriage and got some really interesting perspectives. I was frustrated about a sandwich my husband made me. I took a step back and did some reflection on the responses I got on that post. In that reflection, I realized that my expectations are too high. People beat her down to the point where she now thinks that her expectations are too high, and I should be less demanding of my husband. My husband and I have standards of care that we give and require. Mine seem to be higher than his. I pondered on which approach would be the path of least resistance because I'd really like to try and fix things. So the other night I sat my husband down and explained to him that I think it would be better for us as a couple to meet each other with the same level of care. This way no one feels resentment. I think it's also important that we establish a baseline of care and a solid picture of what we can expect from one another should either one of us fall ill or become infirm. As long as I know what to expect and can plan accordingly, maybe I won't be so terrified to grow old with him. I explained that I accept him as he is because no one is perfect, and that it would be much easier for me to lower my standard of care to match his instead of asking him to raise his standard of care. I thought he would feel relieved without all the extra pressure of having to meet my expectations. Instead, he got angry. I was so gentle, kind, and appreciative of the fact that he's trying his best. I don't understand why he's not okay with me treating him the way he treats me. I told him I don't want to ask him to change if he's not open to it. I told him I'm open to change, so I'm willing to meet him at his level. He responded with, Why would you do that? I feel like I can never make him happy. I ask for and provide too much, that's no good. Now I'm willing to ask for and provide the bare minimum, and he's angry. I cannot tell if this woman is serious or not. This can't be serious. Like, she's like, you know what? I'm going to give the bare minimum like you do, and that should be a gift to you. The people in the comments got her thinking that her standards are way too high. And now she's just like, I think that I should just not care anymore because you don't care. And I'm not going to ask you to care anymore. He's like, why would you do that? Because he still expects her to give 100% and he can just haphazardly give 50% and she's supposed to just be happy with it. Alt middle-aged dad said, please get some therapy, individual and couples. And espresso then wine says, so to recap, you basically told him it's okay if he makes you a shitty sandwich and doesn't bother putting on condiments that would make it edible for you, and that your solution to his problem is that you will also make shitty sandwiches for him with all the condiments so that no one can be resentful that they didn't get what they wanted from their partner. And she says, that's a really negative spin on what I said. My point is, instead of us focusing on how things are done, even if it doesn't meet the needs or preferences of the other person, we should just appreciate the fact that whatever it is in question just got done. Like I said, I have no idea if this woman is serious or not, but I'm definitely tickled by this response. Y'all go ahead and weigh in because I'm honestly speechless at this particular juncture. After I posted that sandwich story yesterday, a woman jumps into my comments. She says, just saw your video about divorcing over a sandwich. I have a similar story with my ex if you'd like to hear. Pardon my dyslexia. It was all over his cat that was slowly wasting away over stomach cancer. I'm like, oh my goodness, sure, type it up. She says, I divorced my ex of 18 years for many reasons, mostly his midlife crises in the last 3 years, but the final straw was Vash the cat. He was a butthole of a cat. If you turned our current president into an orange cat form, that was Vash. But he had his moments. My ex and I bonded over our love of animals, and Vash was our first pet together. My ex claimed him as his little man, but he was really his own person. And we here are supporting okay, I'm not sure what that means, but I guess they're supporting cats. Okay, whatever. She says, I took care of all animal duties. I don't think my ex cleaned a litter box once or walked the dog without me being there. So keep in mind, this is a child-free woman, so her pets were like her children. She says that somewhere else in the inbox that I didn't include. But the thing is, this is how it goes a lot of the times with children as well. She said she did everything for these animals. When Vash was 5, I asked my ex if he thought Vash was acting funny. He said no. I was the one who saw the little drops of blood on the floor as he ran to the litter box. Took him to the emergency vet and found out he couldn't have dry food anymore. Okay. Later on, Vash was throwing up constantly, like 2 times a week, and having sneezing fits with boogies the size of your pinky coming out of his nose. My ex said cats just do that. I figured out Vash and the dog were allergic to fish. Problem fixed, cleared up his sinus problems too. The next drama was Vash had to have a tooth pulled about every other year because of all the vomiting he used to do. And while he was never a biter or a scratcher, his mood really improved. I paid for all the vet bills, by the way. Lastly, he started throwing up regularly again, but this time he was losing weight. He wasn't a Maine Coon, but he was a fat and big bone cat. And I took him to have a specialist look at him. His stomach was taken up by a cancer mass, and he eats too much for what room was left. There was nothing we could do for him, as any treatment would give him minimal extra time. He was 11 years old at this point, and they thought that he had 2 or 3 months left. My ex wanted to put him down then, but despite Vash's ailments, he was bright-eyed, wrestling with the 2 younger cats, bully in the box, and yelling at squirrels on the catio. When he was ready to give up, I was. I cut the fat off steaks and gave him 4 small meals a day. I blended chicken and bacon fat to get his weight up. It was all working until I started a new job, and my ex was responsible for 2 of Vash's meals. My ex threw the chicken and bacon away because Vash wouldn't eat it. My ex wasn't heating it, so Vash could smell it was food. Picked up 2 months of food in the trash. Then he complained about Vash getting fatty liver disease on the steak fat. I told him Vash had months to live. Stop worrying about it and eat your steak. Vash lived to be 12 and a half before my ex decided it was his cat and it was his time. Meanwhile, Vash is running from window to window trying to have border talks with the groundhog outside. He's trying to have border talks. Okay, so this woman she's funny in her own right. She says, I saw my future. I saw exactly what would happen when I got old and needed more than bare minimum care. I was the one that cleaned up the litter boxes. I took all 4 pets to the vet. He never saw anything go wrong, never felt the energy shifts. 18 years of 50-50, paying my own hospital bills with my money, paying for all our car repairs, paying for all our house repairs, doing all the house chores inside and out, paying him back whenever I had to borrow money. I owned our house before marriage and 2 cars, sold one to pay off his student loans. The only thing he spent his money on was his car. I told him I wanted a divorce. After we put Vash down so I could be there for the Orange Hitler and tell him how sorry I was that I couldn't protect him. Interesting nickname to name your cat the Orange Hitler, but okay, let's keep it moving. She says, but I got everyone else out and away from my ex, and all three of my remaining boys, they have all blossomed. The dog Brody passed of lung cancer in April, and he was surrounded by mom, grandma, and stoic grandpa even cried when it was his time. Believe people when they show you who they are, even if it's with animals. Sorry for the novel. And then I said I was just going to let her finish. So, because sometimes when people start typing, you get all of the notifications, but that's neither here nor there. But basically what she's saying, and I can see and understand this, like if there are little drops of blood and you're the only one that sees them, if you're getting tired and your partner doesn't see that, like your energy level dropping, your complexion changing, you being extra tired when you're not usually tired, these are certain things that you should notice in your partner, that if you can't notice in other beings around you, she knew that she would not be taken care of into old age. And I asked her, she said that they did get divorced in November 2024, and now she's just rebuilding because they had to sell a house and do all of the splitting up of assets and stuff like that. So, she saw her future and she said, I want no parts of that. Anyways, let me know what you think. Did you have any moments that said, yep, this is not going to be my forever person, and you skirt the hell out? Let me know in the comments. Join the conversation. Like, comment, and share. Some of these men really make their height their personality. You see it the way they talk about themselves on dating profiles and on social media. They really think that their height is giving them a leg up, or it's knocking them down 2 to 3 notches. This man posted in the men subreddit saying being 5'11" has ruined my life. Now, just to let y'all know, I might not even be 5'1". I might be 5'1.5" an inch. I don't know. But the thing is, my life seems full, even as a short person. But let's look at this man. He says, I'm a brunette. Do men call themselves brunette? That's kind of weird to start off. I'm a brunette 20-year-old man with a stocky build and some traditionally attractive facial features. However, I am 5'11.6". I've never had a girlfriend, only hooked up with a few women I wasn't attracted to. I'm constantly rejected by women over 5'7" because we're supposedly too similar in height, and under 5'4" because they're all obsessed with having a tall man. These circumstances have made me spend the last few years in a cycle of depression. I work out, eat a high protein diet to try and get into the best physique I can to compensate for my height. I have theoretically made progress from being completely B-wordless to my minor victories. I don't see it improving, and I feel like my life is over despite my best efforts. He thinks women don't want him because he's 5'11.6, as if women are pulling out a measuring tape and like, nope, you missed it by half an inch. And now he's like, in order to improve this, he's just going to work out and eat protein. So these people are just exhausting. Like, this is literally his whole personality. Nothing of substance. He's 20 years old. He calls himself attractive, and that's all he got. This is where I was tagged in. Pseudonym. Look at how pseudonym spells it, his or her name, saying, here's 2 tips. Stop calling women B words. 2, get therapy. Get therapy for the depression. And she says, Bourbon Bougie, here's one for you. Like, what is wrong with these people? What is wrong with these people? Why are you? He says that he has no B words. Look at this. You're not going to get any, because this is literally what you see women as. He says he's hooked up with a few women he wasn't attracted to. He is so super duper superficial. And so this is one of the reasons why they're going to stay in this cycle of depression, because they have literally no substance. There's nothing to this man, just an empty package of nothing. The men were kind of giving it to him in the comments, though. That's the reason why I did this. Bonus OK says, dude, shut up. No, it hasn't. I'm 5'4", and I've got on fine with life without any issues. Ace Gary says, 5 foot here too. Happily married for 20 years to a woman who thinks I'm hot AF. Zoop Zip says, your height is not the issue. That's one short goblin says, my thoughts exactly. I'm not a short guy, but I'm short. I'm from a short family. My dad's short and he did just fine. Alt F4 says, I am sorry to hear that, brother. I'm sorry you have to deal with people trying to minimize or dismiss your experiences. Yet he's sleeping with women that he doesn't like or isn't attracted to. So he's using women for their bodies just to get off. He is a scumbucket. A scumbucket. He is not a good person. He deserves to be dismissed. He deserves to be minimized. He deserves not to have any women near his life ever. Genghis Cohen says, nobody is minimizing his experiences. He has a attitude. He has a poopy attitude. He's a poopy man. Alt F4 says, from my perspective, you are the one with the attitude. Do you really think that comments like that are genuinely going to get OP to change? In my experience, people use the language that OP uses when they are hurt from an event that recently happened. Instead of hostility or attacks on him, try asking, are you okay? If you really want people to listen and maybe change, a little empathy goes a long way. No, because he's a scumbucket. He wants to use women for their bodies and he's super duper superficial. Absolutely not. People like him, they deserve to be lonelier. Bing Bong Boink says, sometimes a certain amount of straight talk is warranted. OP is clearly a misogynist and blaming his lack of success in dating on his made-up preconceived notions of women's vanity rather than looking in the mirror and recognizing his own shortcomings. OP seems unwilling to grant women any empathy. Why should we grant him any? And then Alt F4 says, there are a ton of vague proverbs I can regurgitate at you, but the bottom line is that if you want there to be more positivity in the world, you need to spread it yourself. I do not condone his words or behaviors, but I understand them. As a short and ugly man, I almost fell into that pit myself. However, I chose not to. I hope that with a little kindness and understanding, OP would choose differently as well. So just hug a short man. Just hug him. Even though 5'11" isn't short to me, but okay. I mean, like I said, I'm a short woman, so these are problems that I don't understand myself because my life hasn't been ruined because I am short. I do understand that I'm a woman, but women have our own issues like staying slender, and never aging. Like we're supposed to get to a certain age and never go over it. Otherwise, we get castigated on social media all the time. So I do understand, but I don't care. At some point, these people will just have to not care and still live regardless of their height, their weight, if they get older or not. They'll just have to live. Reasonable Fan says, no. Sometimes dips need to be called out, and that's actually a kindness. Tarantillo says, it isn't your height, isn't a negative message. The guy is despairing over this problem that he can't fix, and we're trying to explain that he misdiagnosed the problem. That means he can try to find what the actual problem is. Maybe it's something he can fix. That is a very straightforward question. It's not your height, dude. It's everything else about you. Fix your personality, get a personality, and then maybe, talk to women with the basic level of humanity and stop thinking that we're just supposed to be attractive so that you can get your rocks off. Let me know what you think about this one. I thought it was interesting because he did have men in the comments calling him out. So let me know what you think of this one.
These motherfuckers are gonna make me back again. I'm done with stressing. Get my Smith & Wesson on, God. They come for my rights 'cause they can't take my light, and they hate me for shining so bright. They come with their anger, but darling, they ain't never met mine. They're sore